Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, where we explore and celebrate the craft beer industry, community, and history in Tacoma, Washington, and surrounding Pacific Northwest areas. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, coming at you guys from the Parkway Tavern, as usual. My name is Matt McLaren, and I'm here with everybody this week, including new awesome people. But first, Ron Swarner, how are you?
Hello, I'm well.
Good. You should be extra well today.
Yes.
Okay, good. Sean, how are you, man?
Fantastic. Rock hard, ready to roll.
Nips a blasting?
Nips a blasting.
Good. Sean Nips a blasting Jackson.
Six feet.
So I know, right?
6 feet. Oh, a kid can dream.
Jesus. And we're off. So this is going to be this week and next week will be kind of a special two-parter, and you will find out why really quick. Sean, who are we talking to today?
We are talking to Manny and Roger from Georgetown Brewing.
So the Manny,
founders.
that Manny, and that Roger.
That Manny, that Rogers.
Who? What?
Yeah.
That Manny.
Manny, how are you, man?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
For sure, man. Thanks for making the trek down.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Roger, how you doing?
I'm doing outstanding.
Awesome.
Love coming to T-Town.
Yeah, for sure.
Parkway, baby.
Do you guys get to make it down here as often as you'd like to?
No,
Not
Probably
possible.
not.
Not possible.
Yeah.
Not possible. Well, yeah, shit. We all have 100 things to talk about, but luckily we have a couple of hours. But the first thing I want to talk about is what everybody's drinking. Do you know what you're drinking, Roger?
I do know. It's the Georgetown Dalton IPA, which brings up the big question of the day. Is it named after the defunct sequel to Point Break,
No.
or was it Roadhouse?
Yes. Maybe. Our lawyers are.
I thought it was named after Josh Dalton.
series?
Was it not named after Josh Dalton?
That's true because I thought he was bigger than that.
true.
Yeah, because he's small.
You would think so.
Come on. It's lines of the movie, guys. Yeah. Yeah, it's Roadhouse.
Will there be more Roadhouse?
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Which is the second best movie ever made after
Yeah, Point Break.
Point Break.
Watch
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
You watched Point Break in preparation?
I did.
That's what I should have done in preparation.
Well, I
Nice
watched
fucking job, Ron.
Well done. It's the
Utah, too.
Best way to understand our beers.
Hey, Utah. 2.
One of my glasses is empty. I'm going to steal some of that. Yep. Roger, what do you have, man?
I am drinking a Pilsner.
What?
Hey, what's it called?
Say it out loud.
It's called Rogers Pilsner.
You
Yeah.
nerd.
Well, I won't wear my swag. I will drink that beer.
Yeah.
Get high on
That's
your own
pretty
stash.
cheesy, Roger.
Yeah. I didn't think they'd ask this question.
Yeah.
That's all right, man.
It's okay.
Yeah, this is radio, man. Come on.
Plenty of time to come back from this one.
Honestly, dude, one of my goals in this industry is to drink a beer that's named after myself.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Not too soon though. Manny, what do you have, man?
I have no parking on the dance floor. Or no dancing on the
Parking floor? Yep.
Or no, yeah, one of those.
No spilling on the parquet.
No, that either.
Yes.
You have parquet?
Still, yeah, it's fantastic. What better material has ever been made?
No dancing on the parquet floor.
The old Home Depot flooring associate in me is really triggered right now.
Yeah.
Sean, what's in your glass, man?
Manny's.
Which one?
Yeah.
Manny's Pale. And the Georgetown Magpie Barley Wine, which, we
wine.
did our barley wine week in May.
Yeah, I've
and
heard of it. Yeah.
of all the barley wines that were up there, I would have lost a lot of money betting against you as the highest ABV on the list.
Wow.
15.3.
Yeah, we just made that up.
I was going to say it
That was a
tastes
typo.
like 13.2. It affects my little brain like 13.2, but whatever.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Chalkboard's never wrong.
You just gotta pour a little whiskey in it.
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing a.
Those labels get printed before we finish our math.
I hope
Math
the
is
TTB
hard.
is not listening.
That's right.
We hope any government agency
Yeah.
isn't listening.
I know.
General,
We've admitted to a lot
general
of shit.
theme.
Oh,
Of,
especially the FBI.
yeah, those kids.
This is just storytelling. Storytelling.
Yeah, never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Correct.
Dave Marconi in the house. There is an R. It's silent.
There he is. Peanut gallery is filling out.
Oh man, I can't wait. Keith, we're talking about you too, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we sure are. I know, right? What's up, Ron?
No, I was just thinking about the first time I actually met you two. It was April 17th, 2014. It was the Swiss first beer dinner.
Oh, my God.
And Jack invited you because you sold him his first African Amber and you sold him his first Manny's.
Yeah.
And so he started the dinner off with you two. And because it was the first dinner ever, he didn't know that serving 10 to 12 beers in full pints was a bad thing.
Perhaps not the best idea. Yeah.
And we all got hammered like a 50-foot wave on Johnny Utah that night.
Bell's Beach.
Yeah.
Those things.
Which is off the
Murder
coast
you.
of Oregon, by the way.
Ron has 4 pages of Point Break puns just fucking.
Oh, yeah.
ready to
I watched it
roll.
last night. Here they come.
Primed.
But, man, I walked out of that thing just drunk.
He didn't walk.
Yeah. No, I got picked up, actually.
Yeah.
A fun night.
It was a success.
It was a success.
Yeah,
It was
that's a-
so much fun.
Thank you, Jack. If you're listening, thank you,
Mission
Jack.
accomplished. Yeah, actually, a funny story about the Swiss. When we had incorporated, I don't even think we had actually leased a space yet. Manny's like, you got to come because it's the Parkway, or not the Parkway. It was the Swiss's like anniversary. What anniversary was it? Was it 20th? God, was it? I don't think it was that far. It was their 10th anniversary.
Bad with things.
And I'm like, I feel kind of weird because 1, I'm gonna have to cut work at my like regular job, and 2, like I used to go to that place like underage. I'm still kind of afraid to go back in. But anyway, he's like, nope, this is gonna be one of the first places we try to sell beer. It's one of like the most important beer bars in the South End, and they're great people, and like you got to do it. So I like found a way to
You got a fake ID.
get a little sick and rally down, and it was like one of my and I met a bunch of amazing people in the industry because obviously everybody went. So yeah, cool place.
I think you nailed it on the 10 years because you guys were 2002.
Yep.
And
We
the
started selling in
Swiss-
2003.
Okay.
So that might have been early 03, I think.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
no, it's probably late 02. I don't know. It's a long time ago.
I think Swiss was 92, so
Yeah, okay.
Too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
good call.
that math
That's right.
adds up.
That's right. That
Checking
makes sense.
everything.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I's and T's.
So far, we're batting 1,000.
We do
Nowhere
have
to go but downhill from here.
yeah, we do have fact checkers for this podcast, right?
Tons of them.
Okay. A team.
His name is Sean.
Yeah. So it was funny. We did Hoppywood Squares recently, and one of the questions we asked was where you delivered your first keg, and it was multiple choice with Fiddler's Inn and Browers being the incorrect answers, and Latona being the right answer.
Correct.
Right.
And they just had their anniversary.
Correct.
Did
35 years.
35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The Bob father.
Yeah. Kiss the ring. Seriously.
Yeah, no, seriously. But the fiddler was actually where we concocted this
Yeah.
idea. Yeah. And
I thought it was a good throw off. That was what they went with.
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
like, oh,
Same
Fiddler's
family
Inn
of
all day.
pubs and like,
Wait,
similar
what was the other
vibes.
choice?
Browers.
Browers.
That was the punter.
Yeah.
The Fiddler's Inn and Latona were like the two that
Yeah.
Yeah.
go betweens.
Did anybody say Browers?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was one answer, and they went Fiddler's Inn. They felt confident because they had a beer with you recently at the Fiddler's Inn, and nice conversation about the establishment in general and how much
That's
you
a
love
great
it. So,
bar.
yeah.
It's a good
Did you say you guys like conceptualize all of this at Fiddler's?
We were conceived at the Fiddler.
That's what I meant to say. That's exactly what I meant to say.
I like to say, I like to say that I propositioned Manny at the Fiddler to start a brewery.
Yeah, that was the place we used to hang out at, and
Yeah.
because we both lived in kind of like the Maple Leaf Ravenna area, and it was like the whole thing of like complaining about work,
Yep.
coming back from work and complaining about work, and going getting a beer. And the Fiddler was a place we would go have pints. And
Well, that's
You know
on
what?
any, on
We
any
should
night.
fucking
On a
do
Friday
this.
night, it was the Latona.
Latona.
On
Yeah, Friday. We used to
any
go to
other
Latona.
night, it was the Fid.
Yeah,
Pretty
they
much.
had these 3 guys, Boots, Barry, and Murray. You ever hear about these guys?
No.
3 old dudes.
Band.
They were old. And yeah, and I think it was Murray. He played the drums. He was so old, he would like play, and he would just keep playing, and then the band would stop, and then he would keep playing because he
more
couldn't hear anything.
His
He was deaf.
yeah.
Every Friday night they were there playing. It was awesome.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
great band. Boots, Berry, and Murray. We actually made a beer called Boots, Berry, and Murray, and the berry was like a blackberry goes or something like that, and it was kind of fun.
See,
That's
see how
great.
clever.
Yeah.
See how clever.
Yeah,
Name game is strong.
success.
It is.
You're like,
Yeah.
that's as hard as it gets running a popular brewery. Puns for your beer names.
So that's where you came up with the idea for the brewery at
At the Fid.
the Fiddler.
Yeah,
and
he
then
talked me into it.
because you didn't want to do it,
No, I had left Mac and Jack's,
Yeah.
not to start the brewery. I mean,
right?
But-
To go take your motorcycle, your
Yeah.
motorcycle off
yeah,
into the wilderness.
Fucking Nardwar over
right.
there. Swear to God.
Yeah, just to kind of, kind of get away from it a little bit. But yeah, he was working in healthcare, and I was working at a software company at the time.
If you can call health insurance healthcare,
Yeah.
I guess.
Where did you start doing your home brewing together then?
On our back deck.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. We were roommates at the time. Or I rented a room in Manny's house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were out there brewing on a little half barrel system, just trying to come up with recipes. Went to Bob's Homebrew Supply.
Yeah.
And, bought all our ingredients there and just started making pale ales. Yeah, one
you
after
go.
another,
Yeah.
trying to figure this out.
8 of them, right?
Yeah, I think it was like batch number 8, and we kind of decided.
I think
Oh, no, wait.
that's not true. I think
No.
I think I could be
let him have
wrong.
this,
We'd
Robert.
have to check brew notes, but I would say
Let's get the
that
fact
it was
checker.
right around our 14th batch
is
of product development that you asked me, like, what do you think? And obviously we're both excited because it tasted really good. And I looked at you and I said, what do I think? I think we're going to be rich. Like, I was so excited about this fucking beer. We've been trying to develop and trying to get to, and I don't know how to brew. Like, I know how to brew, but I don't know the ingredients that well. I don't know.
He doesn't know
like,
how to brew.
I don't know how to brew. Anyway, so I'm totally dependent
He
on
has
this
brewed.
guy.
Yeah, he actually, Roger actually has brewed.
I probably brewed 10 or 12 batches
Yeah, he
for
did
the
brew.
brewery
Yeah.
back in 2003
He did brew.
and maybe even into 4. But
He kept
thank
getting a
God I
stuck
don't-
mash.
So you let him throw the hops in and take the picture.
No, he actually ran the brewery
he
by
was
himself.
out of town. Like, he was out of town and there was no one else.
Yeah,
So
he actually ran the brewery.
I had to brew. It was horrible. Like,
On the deck, yeah.
anyway, so there's that. But when we actually got a lease and got equipment and built a brewery and had a production scale brewery, a little 15 barrel system, which is a lot bigger than a half barrel system, we didn't pay anybody to like ramp the recipe from our half barrel system up. We tried to figure it out, and we didn't do a great job of that. So it
That
was
is
our
not linear
8th
math.
batch on the big system. We're like, we're gonna spend our time and our ingredient money on this and figure it out and make it our own, rather than hiring a consultant to come in and tell us what to do. Like, we're going to make it a learning process, and we're going to take our lumps. And so I believe it was our 8th
sucked.
batch.
That
It
really
did
sucked.
super sucked, but I believe it was our 8th batch on the big system that we sold. So I think
Damn.
that's where that number came from.
It's this Ken Grossman model, man. Sierra Nevada was their 13th batch. They dumped every single one of
Yeah,
the 13.
no, we dumped a lot of
Yep.
beer. It was not fun.
Actually
but,
tasted like IPA.
yeah.
Because it was
So
bitter.
ahead of your time, though.
I know, and at the time we were like, "That's too hoppy.
And when you're
Little did you know.
We gotta
well-
dump it."
the whole business model was based on one beer, and it was a pale ale. And if you like throw a IPA out under a pale ale name,
Yeah.
like, it confuses people, and they're like,
Sure.
"This is a terrible, it's a super bitter like pale ale," and like it kind of ruins the whole thing.
I
So,
gotta tell you, that was probably the most stressful
it was a very stressful time.
time of like.
I'm not sure it was
trying
the
to-
most stressful time, but it was pretty
That
stressful.
was pretty stressful.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, like you guys are burning through product, trying to like nail down this thing that you want to base your entire
Well, just like the
business
pressure
around.
of like not knowing if anybody was, you're kind of just hanging it out there. You don't know if anybody's actually you test it on your friends, but they're your friends.
Sure.
Of course, they're going to say it's good, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Until you charge
always-
them money, right?
Yeah, and are you going to pay for this? No, you give it to me for free. Yeah.
Yeah, but Seattle didn't have a pale ale.
That was part
That
of
was
the
part
idea.
of it.
Yeah.
Big part of it.
Yeah, that was a
Nice.
big part of the
Yeah,
idea
right.
was that there was like big ambers. Everybody was drinking a bunch of ambers at the time. IPA wasn't even a thing.
And I
Not
would
really.
take a tiny bit of exception with that. I would say that Hale's Pale
Yeah, that
was
was
the pale from Seattle.
yeah.
But
That's
Mike
true.
had a really different business model. I
was
mean, he
Eng-
was
their
a
English pale ale
he was
style, too.
a pub brewer, and you know he had a big system, and so he could sell other stuff. But he never picked a favorite child, you know, a favorite beer, right? He never pushed something in the market specifically, and so I
And was
think
like,
that
this is my flagship.
yeah,
This
he
was-
was never he never picked a flagship. That was never like his philosophy.
The Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was the
Yeah, it was Sierra and Mirpon.
And
right?
Mirpon, yeah, we were all
yeah,
drinking
Mirpon,
Mirpon.
Like they were 100% the best-selling pales, especially on draft. But I
Mirpon
think
for sure.
in Seattle. Yeah,
They were probably neck and neck at the time.
yeah, I think it was pretty close.
Yeah.
IPA,
The rest is
what?
history.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
Software
And-
company
Thank you. Good night.
was Origin?
I'm sorry?
Software company was Origin?
No. Omni Group.
Omni Group, damn it.
Omni Group.
So
yeah.
I'd heard a...
Nerds
Yeah.
in the best possible
Well,
way.
it came up during Hoppywood Squares. They're like, oh, I know, like, that's where the home brewing question
Yeah,
came
we actually
from. Like,
moved the home brewery from the back deck to their basement there. They had a
that's
really cool setup.
what the person had said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
And-
like, it was like me and 20 Apple Computer software engineers. It was like they spoke a different language.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Nice.
So you were so you left Mac and Jacks. You were out of the industry for a little bit, and then like you guys
Yeah.
were sitting the fizz, right? And
Yeah,
how
I
long?
actually, I went to, so I took some time off, and I actually had this crazy idea that I wanted to open a Japanese restaurant, like a sushi restaurant. My dad, parents,
Not Japanese.
they've owned Chinese restaurants their whole lives, and my dad was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Right?
I was gonna say this sounds.
You're not Japanese.
Cultural appropriation. Love sushi, but
But I don't know. Nishino in Madison Park is a fantastic restaurant. I actually worked there for a year.
Oh wow.
That was the hardest job I've ever done in my life. Oh my God. You know, because it's not, you get busy and you're like a chef, but then you got to stop and take care of the people in front of you. And it's not like they're ordering a plate of spaghetti. They're like, oh, let me get 2 pieces of this. And then they want to have a conversation with you and you got like a sharp knife in your hand. It's getting really, really busy. I had nightmares about like, it was tough. But did that for almost a year, and it was like,
This ain't it, bro.
This isn't it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, then I went to go work at a software company because it was kind of like, just wanted to see what that was about, Like, I had a lot of friends that were in tech and was curious about it, and then it was just like, that's just not for me.
Also not it.
Yeah.
So how long was your break from getting out of the industry to getting back in?
2 years.
couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years.
Damn.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You're like this normie world is just not it.
Right. No, I mean, because you kind of become unemployable, right? We talk about that all the time. Like, you can't go work for somebody else at this point, and or do
After being in
something
the beer
else.
industry,
Yeah.
kinda.
Or like, but even at Mac and Jack's, that was kind of like my, Mac and Jack. I'll stop there, but they just left me alone, and they let me do my own thing.
Sure.
So, and I learned a lot,
Right.
but
But it's really specific to this industry.
yeah. But yeah, this jackass talked me back into this whole mess. Thank you, Roger.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, thank you, baby Jesus.
Yeah. We all appreciate you, Roger.
Yeah. And you were an old Thomas Kemper kid, Roger.
Wow, that is a deep track right there.
Yeah.
I did not know this. We talk about Thomas
Yeah.
Kemper a lot, and I had no fucking idea.
Yeah, grew up
Old.
grew up in Port Angeles.
You guys did you did your homework there, yeah.
Went to
I
college.
read things.
Went to college here in Tacoma. Lived in Bozeman, Montana for a year almost, and then moved back here. And my first job I got when I moved back to Washington was as a bartender, which is not a bartender. It's pulling taps. It's a beer tender, whatever you want to say. But I wasn't making cocktails or anything. Out at the Thomas Kemper Brew Pub in just on the edge of Paulsbo there, like the old slaughterhouse facility.
Yep.
And was super excited about it. Like, I had really enjoyed beer and love beer, and like it's just such a Northwest thing. And I do like lagers, and
They were good.
Lord knows Will Kemper can make a lager.
Dude.
So it was a fun place.
legend.
It was a fun place to be for several months before I moved to Seattle and lived in my car for another several months. Kind of got that part of life started.
Well, things were more temperate then.
It was a simpler time.
Summers were
It was a
easier.
simpler time. They were. It was an awesome
fun.
summer. Yeah.
Yeah, Roger actually started the whole sleep in your car,
Fad.
Yeah. So if you have a camper in front of your property, that's Roger. You have him to thank for you.
If your property was the old Red Hook, if your property was the old Red Hook Brewery in Fremont, then
Thank you, Roger.
it was me. Because I had my favorite parking spot there, where after I got off shift at El Camino, like as a food runner, like I could sit in the back of my Suburban. So it was Suburban. It was a little bougie, and I could read my book through the light coming in from the street light across the street. And when I put my head down, the tailgate would cast a shadow. And I was like, awesome. It was the best spot. So even
Where
if
did
it
you
wasn't
shower,
there when I got
Roger?
to work, I had two buddies who gave me keys to their place. So because I got day jobs, I had 5 jobs at the time. So like I would like
Male
paint
gigolo.
houses.
Yeah.
No, sadly that was not one. But I would paint houses or be a like assistant carpenter, like basically hauling stuff. Or I would I worked in a boatyard for a little while, like doing awful things like sanding fiberglass and like terrible things.
Jesus.
So that was my morning job. And then I had 2 friends who lived pretty close to Green Lake, and they gave me keys to their place. And the deal was I'd quit my day job, I'd go for a run, and then I would take a shower at their place, and I'd leave them some amount of beer. And then I would go to my night job, which was either at El Camino running food, or I worked at the iBank for a little bit. So, yeah, I had 5 jobs. There you go.
5 jobs.
Yeah, because I moved to Seattle, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'd never paid more than $150 a month for rent in my life, and I'm like, it's like $500, man, to get a place, and they want first
For a
month's,
closet.
last month's, and a
Probably.
deposit. That's like $1,500. Like I do not have $1,500.
Yeah.
I can literally not rent a place, so I just lived in my car for a little while.
Yep.
It worked out. It's okay.
So you mentioned Red Hook.
Yeah.
So Black Hook Porter, Manny.
Oh, that's a Manny
That's
story.
that's the one, right?
That was the beer that changed my life.
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Do you want to hear the story?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know who was playing that night.
Stanley Turrentine.
Oh, nice.
At the Jazz Alley.
Jesus
Good
Christ.
question. Good question. Yeah.
Ron, did you do any of your normal job this week, man?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I was a sophomore in college. I had my brother's ID. I was 19 years old, and I wanted to impress a gal, and I took her to the Jazz Alley, and on the menu was Black Hook Porter, and I had no idea what that is, and I ordered it, and it came out, and I was like, that doesn't look like beer, because we were drinking.
dark.
Yeah, we were drinking $35 kegs of Meisterbrow. That we would buy from Goldie's on 45th or in Wallingford, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I still remember like taking a sip of it and then just kind of doing a double take. And that night after the date, I came back and my roommate at the time was like, "How was your date?" And I was like, "I had this really good beer." Changed my life. Yeah, and then I totally got obsessed with it. My friend Tom, we would go down to the local Safeway in the U District, and then we used to just pass up the craft beer. And the craft beer section wasn't huge at the time, but there was, Red Hook, Widmer, Pyramid, Full Sail. Those guys would get Hales. Maritime was just getting started like in the early 90s, right? And we discovered this whole beer section of like good beer, and we would grab a 6-pack, and we had this little ritual. We'd go back and we started a beer journal, and all our friends just call us beer dorks and made fun of us.
Still do.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah.
Beer dorks, beer nerds.
We had this little ritual where we like drink a beer and rate it, and we had this little rating system of like
Oh my God.
beer bottles, and Yeah, we just started dorking out on
Beer
it.
bottles, not caps, not bottle caps.
Yeah, but I mean, but it was the same thing as any sort of like kid drinking beer. You know, your first beer is just bitter, and you're like, oh, this is just disgusting. You know, but I'm gonna drink it. And then it was Black Oak Porter that I was like, this is really
So
good.
start a
Yeah.
brewery or start Untapped.
Right.
Yeah.
No kidding. Thank you, Norm, for the beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of porter, one thing I love a good cease and desist.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, can we talk about some 9-pound?
Oh, Jesus.
Sean, can we take a break first?
Wow, what are we at
Can we?
liberty to-
Yeah,
Do we have to?
We have
Should
to.
we?
Okay.
Joke.
All right.
Is he
Okay.
still? Is he
Nine-
still
I'm
around?
not
we'll be,
sure
we'll
they-
be back in just a second. We're going to talk about 9
I don't need a pause.
so they can recall.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. As always, want to give a quick shout out to Channel 253 and our wonderful producer, Doug. Channel 253 is an awesome network of podcasts that are hosted by local community members and leaders, covering all of the topics that you might find important if you are invested in this community or would like to be. Check them out. It's wonderful, and it's a great way to stay connected to Tacoma and to the Northwest. You can support those guys by going to channel253.com/membership. We were talking about 9-pound.
9-pound porter.
On the during the break, Manny actually reminded me of a funny story about my child and 9-pound porter. But you go first.
Well, no, you first.
Okay, so Manny, my wonderful wife just sent me an anniversary gift and
Happy
surprise
5-year anniversary, buddy.
bouquet of fruits and stuff. But yeah, Manny asked if I had a kid, and I have a little 9-year-old at home, and occasionally I will like put beer in front of him and like ask him to smell it just to see like what he says. And I actually had a growler of 9-pound porter. And I didn't even think about that. That's what it was. But I had a growler of 9-pound porter, and it must have been, I don't know, the 50th time I'd asked him, like, hey, smell this. Like, what do you smell? And he would always just say beer. Like,
Beer.
you know, I started doing it when he was like 4 years old. He would just say, it smells like beer. I don't know how healthy that is as a parent. I don't care.
Smells like daddy.
But I put a 9-pound porter in front of him, and for the first time he said something other than beer. He said chocolate.
Ooh.
And like proud dad tears like started like welled up, and I was like, oh my god, it does smell like chocolate.
So it begins.
And,
Yeah, it's
so
the
yeah,
intro, man.
that was the intro. He probably a future nerd in some ways.
Yeah.
But 9-pound porter was the first beer that my kid smelled and interpreted it in any kind of way that
I'm
wasn't
gonna
just beer.
congratulate. What's your
I
son's?
will
What's your
raise the
son's name?
glass.
Mason.
Mason. Congratulations, Mason.
Nice job, Mason.
Sorry for your future mental
Mason.
health issues.
Yeah. I just went to my first bar mitzvah. This is like a bar mitzvah for Mason in his own way. He's become like
I think
a
it's
beer mitzvah?
yeah, beer mitzvah. We should do a beer mitzvah.
I like a good
beer
beer
mitzvah. It's a beer. It was a beer mitzvah for sure.
Anyway, 9-pound porter stories that don't involve children.
Yeah.
Go.
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 There's this guy, and he said we couldn't name it 9-pound porter anymore.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean,
Well, we named it 9-pound porter because of the 9-pound hammer.
yeah.
Because when Roger and I started the brewery, that was like
That was our spot. It was
Georgetown was like there was like the 9-pound porter All City
Hammer.
Cafe.
It's called, is it called the Hammer?
I'm
9-pound Hammer.
Stellar Pizza. At the time was Stella's Pizza.
Correct. Not Stella's, just Stella.
Stella's.
Yeah, Stella.
Stella.
There you go.
Yeah. Planet Georgetown.
Uncle
Uncle
Moe's.
Moe's.
Planet Georgetown, real thing.
Yeah.
100%. And actually, the Industrial Cafe was there for a little
Industrial Cafe. Yeah. Jules Mays was not open. I mean, it was like
No.
one of the oldest.
bit. Just sad.
But yeah, it was kind of like you go to All City Cafe in the morning and get your coffee, go get your pizza for lunch, and then for happy hour we go to the 9-pound Hammer.
Yeah.
You know, and that was like kind of our routine back then.
No kind of about it.
Yeah, that was our routine. Can I tell you a story about going to the 9-pound Hammer for the first time?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
So for the first, I would say like 2-3 months of being in Georgetown.
No, weeks.
Weeks.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
Roger would, we'd be working on the brewery, and Roger actually kept his day job at Primera.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. We were. It was like we were married. I mean, because Like somebody has to earn the money because we weren't actually earning any money.
Because somebody spends the money.
Yeah. So, but he would come out after work to help, and we were like building out the brewery and doing all the piping and sitting all the stuff, whatever. But he would always show up in his business casual from Premier Blue Cross, which usually involved like a button-down shirt and like khakis, right? But the 9-pound hammer back then, it was like. There was tons of motorcycles in front. It was kind of a Hell's Angels bar.
No, not kind of.
Yeah, it was a
Hell's Angels bar.
Yeah, so like in the beginning, we're like, we gotta go there. And Roger's like, I'm not going in there like this.
No.
Like, well, why don't you just bring a change of clothes? I didn't bring a change of clothes. Well, we're not gonna go in there like that.
Bullshit. I always brought a change of clothes because I was going to be sweating pipe or bending conduit or
Well,
doing
then why didn't we
something.
go in there?
We did, like, after I went to the brewery and changed clothes. Like, I just wasn't going to go in there looking like a stiff from some cubicle, which is what I actually was.
We were scared.
Like, anyway, we were scared. Absolutely, we were scared. Turns out those Hell's Angels are sweethearts.
They were nice. They were nice to us.
It turns out they're lovely.
Yeah.
And it's not a Hell's Angels bar anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. Yeah. But regardless, like, very nice people. Great place. Love it.
And the name of your porter is not 9-pound anymore.
No, it is.
It is.
We have a federal
Because-
trademark that says it's 9-pound porter. Absolutely.
Correct. For the second
That,
time.
Yes. In fact, I want your Georgetown Porter label tap handle back.
Correct.
Yeah. Because it's now 9-pound
When we're done
porter.
with this, you
Yes.
can get on my shoulders and take it off the bar.
I've been drinking beer. I might fall off.
No,
That's what
no.
he tells all of us when we ask for our tap.
I'm a good base. I'm a good
right?
base.
Every time we're looking,
We
Sean,
can
can I
do
get
it.
that one back? Yeah, if you can get it down.
Well, you could be the first one to take me up on it.
Yeah.
It's like a not so little museum up there. It's awesome.
No. But anyway, it was 9-pound porter, named after the 9-pound hammer, because we wanted to make a tribute beer for those guys, and we thought it was a badass name, right?
It's badass.
So we got we didn't get a cease and desist letter. We got a phone
It's close.
call. Yeah. And it was Alan Newman. Newman.
Newman.
I hope you're listening. And Magic Hat,
Yeah.
number 9.
Yep.
And they were just coming to the market. He's like, I don't want any confusion.
Right.
And he's like, you make a peach apricot pale ale, dude. Yeah. Anyways.
he trademarked the number 9.
and it's so bullshit, but it is, in Alan's defense, like, that's what lawyers tell you. Like, if you don't defend your trademark, then your trademark is worthless.
And we
That's
didn't.
what-
we
And
couldn't
so,
afford a
like,
law- we didn't want to pay for a lawyer back then.
I can't fault him. Like, the whole thing is bullshit, and we all know it.
You're
Yeah.
being really nice.
But, like, it's the law. It's the way the law works. Like, if you don't defend it, like, whatever. And we're just like, come on, man. Like, it's a porter and a apricot, whatever the not quite
It's
pale
the
ale.
number 9.
And like, there's confusion because no one in this market has ever fucking heard of your beer before. 'Cause, I mean, and
Fucking get him, Ross.
hang on, bear with me. It's not because they didn't sell 10 times more beer than we do, because
They're a lot
they
bigger.
did, but they sold it on the other side of the country, right?
they were from
and
East
so
Coast,
Seattle
Vermont.
people,
Vermont,
like,
right?
yeah, Vermont.
Yeah.
So they didn't know it. Like, Seattle people don't know it. New England people knew it crazy. Like if we tried to introduce our beer, they'd be like, "Why isn't this peach, whatever, like not quite pale ale? And why is it dark black and like this and that?" You know, like they would have been, if we had gone the other way, it would have been kind of the same thing, right? It would have been problematic. So anyway, like, I get it. It's annoying,
yeah.
but you know, like, we all have.
But he
live in our
actually
world.
tried to come up with a solution. He says, I want to, you guys
He
can
did.
keep 9-pound porter. However, you need to sign your name back to me, and I own it, and then I will license it back to you for free. And we were like, it's not even our name. It belongs to the 9-pound
It's
hammer.
his.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, so Scott Harrell, who owns the 9-pound hammer, we actually talked to him about it. We were like, Scott, this is your name. And Scott, bless his heart, he was like, you know, I trust you guys. Do what you think is right. And we
Nice.
talked about it.
It's
and
good
we were
advice, by the way.
like, yeah. And we were like, we do not want any legal document that ties us with that
Or Scott.
and Scott
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that guy. So no. And we told him,
Told him to suck a butt.
suck it. And no, we basically said no.
No, just suck
we're
it.
gonna- yeah,
That's all.
suck it. Suck it. Yeah.
Interpret that as you may.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when we came up with the Georgetown Porter, and we're like, let's just call it Georgetown Porter, and we'll just write "suck it" on it, and that, you can just take that for what you want to take it at. Yeah, but now it is back. So we actually hired a trademark attorney, patent attorney, who's great. He's fantastic, and he's been giving us great advice. And so, number 9 is. I mean, when was the last time you saw Magic Hat number 9 here? And Alan Newman's been kind of out of the picture for a while.
Yeah.
So
He's not been with that brewery anymore.
No, they're not involved anymore. So we actually have a federal trademark now for a 9-pound
Which we'll
porter.
defend. That's the other part, right?
Yeah.
Right now, right now we're in a little bit stronger position.
resolution.
Back then, like we had 2 breweries. Like one was not a not quite brewery. It was a brewery under construction, right? So we were like as leveraged and as in debt and as like freaked out as you can be, and like. You got these guys who probably have in-house legal and like
Just so much money.
we
and-
can't like fight that. We don't
That's
have
kind
the
of
money
part of
to
the
fight
system,
this.
man. It's
And
just kind of the part
it's
of the
America.
system that's not
I mean, it's
necessarily fair.
America. And it's
right?
not
Because it's not
necessarily.
necessarily like what the law says and what's right. It's sort of like who's got the most money and can bully people around.
Yep.
So you're like, know what? We're gonna get the most money,
Yeah.
and now look at you.
Suck
Yeah.
it.
Suck it.
So there's that.
Here's to sucking it.
Yeah.
Roger, you're being nice. Nobody's fucking heard of that beer out here.
Well, they hadn't.
I go to Vermont a lot. I still don't drink it.
At some point in the, I think it was probably still back in the Dusty Trail ownership era of E9. Like they did straight up cut and paste the 9 from Magic Hat, and it was
Really?
and it was like the exact 9,
Right,
and used it as a logo, and
There it is.
Yeah.
All right, there.
that was a true life. Like,
Okay.
yeah, fuck you, you can't
Alan
do
was
that.
like, that's the second goddamn time in that
wasn't a
state.
lot of argument on that one. Like, yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah, somebody's kid got in a computer.
Yeah. Alan, you can have that one.
Yeah, deservedly so.
Yeah.
Ron, what did you just open?
The first fresh hop that I've seen this so far this season.
Oh my
it's,
gosh, already.
Already.
It's Ex Novo's fresh hop Elliott.
How is it?
Came in today.
What kind of hops?
Well,
I believe it's Centennial.
Centennial is
fresh.
always the first
Fresh.
ones.
Right.
of
Yeah.
course, it's always
Yeah.
Centennial.
Yeah.
Tastes nice.
Good.
Right on.
What are you guys
have
planning
to-
for Fresh Hop?
We got Citra, fresh hop. So we basically plant our fresh hops around the harvest, and we go to the farm and we say we're using CLS Citra this year, and it's essentially whenever the hops are ready, you call us.
Yeah.
And so we try to pick out, not necessarily because we don't do that many of them. We're going to make 120 barrels, which relatively speaking is not that much for us. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's a pain in the ass.
And it may cause us to miss like a fresh hop event, like a festival or whatever.
Sure.
Just depending on when it's harvested, we get it immediately.
Yeah.
We just rally and drive over and grab it. But what beer you're making, how long does it take to make, and you might not hit the window. So
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to do 60 barrels of a Citra fresh hop,
Nice.
and then we're going to do 15 barrels. Holy smokes! What am I? It'll come to me. We're using 2 different other hops that we're gonna pick.
Hey Manny, when we make a fresh hop beer, how much of the hops in that beer are fresh?
So we use about 10 pounds per barrel. So we fill our mash tun.
How
with
many
it.
not fresh hops do we use in those beers?
We will still add some pellets.
Yeah.
We will still add some
But
pellets.
it's
yeah.
percentage wise, what would you?
It's pretty small. I mean, it's usually in the dry hop just to kind of give it a little extra
Yeah.
spice.
Like no, it's heavily fresh hops bias.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh, we threw like 2 ounces of fresh hop in this beer, right? Like
Yeah.
it's their fresh
Yeah.
hop beers.
Fresh
Nice.
hops are interesting because it really is like there's this weird sort of like what I call a hop spice to it.
Yeah.
That you get out of a fresh hop that you can't
Totally.
get out of anything else.
It's a real thing.
It's like a tingle. It's almost like a
Like
nettles
the
in
very
your mouth.
back of your tongue.
Yeah,
Like,
it tingles
totally.
in your mouth, and you can't duplicate it.
Nope.
Right? But the problem is that if you don't back it up with some pellets, I think, my opinion, is that then it becomes sort of underwhelming, right?
So I agree with that actually. I'm like on the side of like I like people that just like go heavy fresh hop and it's mostly biased that way. I
Yeah.
like how expressive those can be. But like as a total product, like something that has fresh hops as a balancing ingredient, or like you use other hop iterations as balancing ingredients.
Yeah.
I love that shit because you can still get the spice, but you can also get every flavor that's existing in those hops expressed in other ways.
You
right?
you gotta back it up. You
Yeah, I
gotta
love that.
right. And I also feel like if you're gonna make a fresh hop beer, you can't be underwhelming.
Totally.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Because then your
Especially
consumers
now,
get-
man,
Oh,
everybody's
not
doing,
these days.
like,
You make a fresh hop that's not hoppy? Like, that's fucked up, man. Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
Dude, my only time ever going to hop selection was actually with Garrett for Georgetown stuff. It's the only time I've ever done it, and it was like the coolest fucking experience. Everybody pulled growlers of Johnny off the tank.
Did he
And,
make you? Did he make you watch a Liverpool match with him?
No, that's probably why I didn't sit next to him on the bus. I'm sure it
Or
was.
some obscure indie band.
Was Garrett spinning? Was Garrett spinning vinyl on the bus?
Everything was so bumpy.
Oh, damn it!
He still has cassette tapes.
And uses
It was a
them.
cool experience. I had never I had obviously read a ton and seen it, done a ton of research on how things like hop selection go, and it's like such a crazy process. And
It is.
And seeing your guys' team go out there and go, okay, like we want this lot, we want this line,
Yep.
we want this row, and we need it for the next 12 months basically.
Yeah.
And like it's a crazy thing to do. And you have farms like lining up to present you guys with shit. That's like, hey, this is our best stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna
Yeah.
pick out these here's 9 different citras.
Right. Right.
And here are the
Right.
concentrations of these different diols and like all different compounds.
Yeah.
And,
And
these
then you
things.
got to
And it's
rush
like,
him back.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
It's like
You
a fresh
gotta rush
flower.
him
It's
back.
going to wilt.
You have a day.
It happens fast.
But, and I'll tell you something, Matt. I mean, honestly, like sometimes it's a crapshoot. We still talk about a batch of Johnny Utah that we made. How many years ago did we make that? I mean, probably like 7 years ago. That we still get like a boner off of. Like we just. Can I say that? Anyways.
Boner.
There's
Yeah,
never
yeah,
been
yeah.
an
No,
episode where
no.
Sean didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was something about that batch of Johnny Utah where we were like, oh my God, my mouth is alive every time I take a sip.
Oh,
Right? And we tried to make it again with like another we thought was a good batch of Citra coming off the fresh hops, and
Yeah.
it just didn't duplicate.
didn't hit the same.
No, so and it's so sometimes it's a crapshoot. I don't know the science behind it. I wish I did, but it's like nature. Sometimes
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like winemaking in many ways. I mean,
Oh,
you're
totally.
subject to like whatever the grapes are and whatever the conditions are at the time.
Dude, fresh hop season is so much. It's the closest that beer gets to wine, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
honestly.
It's naked. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's the ingredients.
And you're
100%
fucking
agree.
guessing. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, you've never brewed it before. You're never going to brew with it again.
Yep.
You're like, here we go.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you do your your best guess.
Yeah, you try to
and
give it the best shot. You
Sometimes
can.
you get magic, and sometimes you don't.
That's honestly it's one of the things that makes this season so exciting. Like we've talked about it on the podcast before. For people listening, like fresh hop season is really just starting now. Like we said, Ron just opened really the first iteration of this whole season here. But for the next 6 weeks, there's going to be basically breweries that are picking hops and then within just a few hours getting them into beer.
Right.
And it is like season dependent. It's vintage dependent. It's totally random at sometimes. But then you end up getting things from really unexpected places, breweries that just put something together that hits like crazy. And you're like, oh my God, man, this is like one of the craziest, most expressive beers I've ever had.
Yeah.
And it's just hitting like no other iterations.
And
beer.
then try making it again.
Yeah,
next
and then
year.
it's like, and then next year people are like,
hard.
man, this was way better last year.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's like the point. Like,
right.
you're kind of crapshooting. You can take every bit of information about the soil and about the land and about the weather and about all of that stuff, and you still,
Right.
it still takes a lot.
But in many ways, it's sort of like the same idea with with the pellets that we're going to be using for the rest of the year, and the Bodhi that you're going to be drinking for the rest of the year, or the Utah that you're going to be drinking for the rest of the year. It's like we try to do our best job of like guessing which hops are the best, or trying to develop relationships with the brewers and like finding out who's doing the best hops.
And by the best, we mean the ones that are the most like Bodhi, or the most like Johnny, or the most like Manny's. It's
But every
best
year,
is
every
a
year's-
little arbitrary,
Sure.
in a general sense. But when you have a specific beer you're going to make with that
Yeah.
hop, then it's much more specific.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As a purchaser, fresh hop season gets interesting too. Like, there's so much coming to the market, and so many breweries are like you've got 2 on the docket, but there's folks that are 4, 6, 8, it's a lot at a lot of time, and it's easy to kind of get backed up and not present them at the time that they should be presented. And so for us, it's always like we'll grab 5 a week and we'll tap them on Friday, and we're just like we're gonna miss stuff. We're not gonna backtrack.
That's a real thing.
But at the other end too is like the breweries. Like there's breweries that we know do a good job, but we're gonna miss stuff based on like
Just
like you said, like one year somebody might not hit, and some other like out of left field kid just freaking nailed it, and it's fucking fun.
Right.
But
it is.
we got out of the culture of like we got to get them all. Like nope, we're just gonna roll the dice.
Well, you
grab
can't,
a handful.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you've been in this business long enough, like there was a time where you could.
Yeah.
get 'em all. Yeah.
You actually could have all of them.
You could,
But
like,
there was a
that time
time
is
for-
gone.
Like
There's
pumpkin
too many
beer too, though.
breweries and too many. Yeah.
I remember that phase. Like you could have all the pumpkin beer, and then there was 40 of them coming in the
Please
market
buy
at the
my
same
pumpkin
time.
beer.
You're barking up the wrong tree.
It's,
Yeah, like I got no sympathy about pumpkin beer. I have a limited palate.
Roger came up with a name for our first pumpkin beer.
Oh God, Manny.
Pumpkin. Get it?
What?
There's a
Never
hyphen. Oh God.
Pumpkin.
I had it was called Hillbilly Celebration,
yeah.
and it was a pump-kin ale.
Have a deliverance
whatever.
night.
Like,
That's
anyway,
pretty good.
Because what do hillbillies do to celebrate Halloween? Pumpkin. There it is. All right.
Yep.
So, anyway, you can delete all this, right? Yeah, good.
Leave it in.
Port Angeles in the house.
That's right. There's a little bit of that.
Shout out to
A little
Levi.
bit of that.
We fucking out of nowhere are running out of time pretty soon. Oh my gosh. But I would hate to get through this first episode of this 2-part special without one fuck up story from somebody.
Oh.
I gotta go because mine is very time sensitive and relevant.
Wow.
We just had IPA Fest on Saturday, and I gotta preface this with a little mini story. So we had the Narrows King Octo on tap, and we took it down, and we had the Ex Novo Octo on for the festival. Very much understandably, the Narrows kids had messaged us and were like, "Hey, pretty sure you've got your beer wrong on the festival." And Fader responded very nicely. Internal asshole that I am, I'm like, what kind of fucking amateur game do you think we're playing here? Like, like we know what the fuck we're doing. Let's fast forward to about 10:30 at night.
Always my first response, or first instinct, yeah.
So right around 10:30, Matt storms in the house, and we've got some fast fashion on. And he asked me, he's like, hey, what do you think the chances are that you switch tap 11 and 12 up? Oh. And I said, because it's him, I was like, well, there's always a chance, but it's highly fucking improbable.
Right. Agreed.
And sure as fucking shit, I went down to the cooler and unhooked. So if you were at IPA Fest and you loved the Yaya, you loved the fast fashion. And conversely, if you thought the fast fashion was incredible, you were loving the Yaya.
Yeah, there it is.
And it was funny, like, as this is happening in real time, and I'm, eating all the crow, like,
Yeah.
everyone on the fucking staff was like, yeah, I was wondering about. It didn't seem like this was hazy. I'm like, God fucking damn it. I was so fucking embarrassed.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
radio
embarrassed.
listeners, this is me bitch slapping Sean.
Do it again.
Oh, you had that coming.
Harder.
Had it coming.
Hard, no, fucking seriously,
sir,
harder.
for having us.
Please, harder.
Doug's got headphones on.
Oh, sorry, Doug. Oh.
Burst.
You're going to get
eardrums.
slapped next. Don't worry about it. We got a line.
Fucking Christ.
You know,
So,
I
yeah.
actually had somebody. I was at the Pacific Inn, awesome bar
Very cool bar.
in Wallingford, and I ordered a Manny's, and they poured me a Mac and Jacks. And I was like, I know this beer. This is Mac and Jacks. and I had literally not drank this beer for like 5 years. I was like, but I know this beer. And I was like, you switch your taps. No. I poured you a mayonnaise. I'll pour you another mayonnaise. And they poured it, and I was like, can I check your taps, please? Went underneath, like, yeah, these are switched.
Oh.
Yeah.
That happens.
Don't do that. Bad, Sean.
Happened to me at the Buckaroo.
We would never, right? Like, it was bad, Sean. I was so fucking embarrassed.
We still love you.
It's all right.
So
Well,
Sean
we
warmed
should
us up.
consider that for a little bit.
We're gonna get one from each of you guys on part 2 of this episode, actually. But yeah, Doug just said we were out of time. So Ron, I think, is gonna take us out.
All right, Grit and Grainers. Email us at cheers@gritandgrainpodcast.com with your comments, opinions, and audio of two surfer robbers having a conversation midair as though they could hear themselves. We read and drink everything we receive, and we try to respond as quickly as can, if not online, then on air. You can subscribe to Grit and Grain on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. And please leave us a review. Also, check us out at Channel 253 and the gritandgrainpodcast.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for episode notes, beer news, and photos of two surfers fighting during a 50-year storm in Australia. Whoa. If this podcast is not what you expected, please alter your expectations. If you want the ultimate, you've got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. It's not tragic to die doing what you love.
So true.
No such thing as bad time to visit Tacoma. No such thing as too much barley wine. Woo! Tune in next Friday for some more sweet chatter. Adios, amigos.
Via con Dios, brah.
Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us at Grit and Grain Podcast wherever you get your social media and catch new episodes every Friday. Cheers.
Grit and Grain is part of the Channel 253 podcast network. Check out our other shows: Nerd Farmer, Interchangeable White Ladies, Move to Tacoma, Crossing Division, Citizen Tacoma, What Say You, We Are Tacoma, Flounders B Team, and Taco Man.
This is Channel 253.